Australia's latest major attack, the Bondi Junction stabbing attack, April 13, 2024. Inside the facts, impact, and what comes next. On a busy Saturday afternoon in April 2024, one of Australia's most crowded shopping centers became the scene of a horrifying attack. What began as a normal day of shopping ended in fear, loss, and national mourning. This is the story of the Bondi Junction stabbing attack, what happened, who was affected, how authorities responded, and what it means for Australia's security and public safety. Westfield Bondi Junction is one of Sydney's busiest shopping centres. On April 13, 2024, thousands of people were inside, families, tourists, workers, and children enjoying a weekend afternoon. Just after 3 p.m., that sense of normalcy was shattered. A lone attacker entered the shopping center armed with a large knife. Moving rapidly between levels, he stabbed multiple people at random. Witnesses described scenes of panic, shoppers running, stores locking doors, parents shielding children, and strangers helping one another escape. 6 innocent people were killed in the attack. Several others were seriously injured. Among the victims were men and women from different walks of life, a reminder that this violence did not target one individual, but the public itself. Within minutes, New South Wales police arrived on the scene. A single police officer confronted the attacker. Acting alone and under extreme pressure, she shot and killed him, preventing further loss of life. Her actions were later praised nationwide, with authorities stating her intervention undoubtedly saved many lives. The attacker was later identified as a 40-year-old man from Queensland. Police confirmed that he had a long history of serious mental health issues and was known to authorities in another state. At this stage, investigators found no evidence of ideological extremism, terrorist organization links, or political motivation. This distinction is important because while the attack created terror, authorities did not formally classify it as terrorism under Australian law. In Australia, terrorism has a specific legal definition. An act must be politically, religiously, or ideologically motivated and intended to intimidate the public or influence government. While this attack terrified the public, police stated it was driven primarily by severe mental illness, not extremist ideology. However, many Australians still describe it as a terror-like event because the fear, chaos, and public impact were real. This raises an ongoing debate. How do we define terrorism in the age of lone actor violence, and how do we respond when mass violence doesn't fit traditional categories? Across Australia, people gathered for vigils. Flowers, candles, and handwritten messages filled the streets outside Bondi Junction. Flags were lowered. Public figures spoke of grief, unity, and resilience. The Prime Minister described the attack as a devastating act of violence that has shaken our nation. Support services were immediately expanded for survivors, witnesses, and families, many of whom will live with trauma long after headlines fade. This attack forced Australians to confront uncomfortable realities. Shopping centers, once seen as safe, everyday spaces, suddenly felt vulnerable. Questions emerged about public safety in crowded places, mental health support systems, police response to lone actor threats, and how warning signs are monitored across state borders. Security experts noted that lone actor attacks are among the hardest to prevent, especially when no extremist networks or online propaganda are involved. One of the most difficult discussions following the attack focused on mental health care in Australia. Authorities confirmed the attacker had interacted with mental health services previously, raising questions about continuity of care, risk assessment, and follow-up. Mental health advocates warned against stigma, stressing that the vast majority of people with mental illness are not violent. But they also called for stronger crisis intervention systems, especially for individuals showing signs of deterioration. In the weeks following the attack, security measures were reviewed nationwide. These included increased police presence in major shopping centers, emergency response training for retail staff, improved communication between state health and police agencies. Officials also revisited Australia's national threat environment, acknowledging that while terrorism remains a concern, non-ideological mass violence is an increasing challenge. Australia's national terror threat level remains focused on extremism, but agencies now openly recognize a broader risk landscape. Recent years have shown lone actor violence, ideologically unclear attacks, online radicalization, and mental health-related crises. The Bondi Junction attack did not fit traditional terror frameworks, yet its impact was just as profound. So what can be learned? First, rapid police response saves lives. Second, early mental health intervention matters. Third, community awareness and preparedness can reduce harm. And finally, Australians must balance security with compassion, avoiding fear-driven reactions while addressing real risks. The Bondi Junction stabbing was not just a crime, it was a national trauma. It reminded Australia that violence doesn't always wear a clear label and that safety depends on strong institutions, responsible policy, and collective care. As investigations continue and communities heal, one truth remains clear. The measure of a society is not only how it confronts violence, but how it protects life, dignity, and unity afterward. Thank you for watching. Please stay informed, stay compassionate, and look out for one another.